This video demonstrates the lesson segment addressing content. One element of addressing content is previewing new content. Now, there are many, many different ways to preview content, many contexts and where previewing activities might be used. As you watch this secondary science teacher, notice that she does a previewing activity that is actually for the whole unit. So, you know, you're going to have previewing for a unit, you're going to have previewing for individual lessons within that unit. And also notice that, you know, at first she uses what some people call a little hook activity, just something to kind of get them thinking about the content and motivate it. And she uses then another type of previewing activity, which is much more structured and much more detailed. Okay, today we're going to start a new lesson focusing on DNA and chromosomes. And what I want to do at this point is just have you look on the sideboard to refer to there really quickly. The big idea of this whole unit, and it'll take several weeks to get through this unit, but the big idea that I want you to keep in mind is what role does the structure of DNA play in the development and reproduction? So that's the main thing and the main question we're going to try to answer by the end of this unit. So before we actually get started in the specific unit, what I wanted to do is preview some information and show you a little animation just to get you thinking about what we're going to be learning. So I'm going to play this and then I'm going to have you record some of your thoughts.
What is DNA? Let's examine a group of cells in your inner ear. They help support the function of hearing. How do these cells know that their role is to support hearing instead of something else like making your heart beat?
So now that you've seen the video, I want to do the anticipation guide to get you thinking about some more things that you're going to be learning. So if you take a look at the paper that you have in front of you, let's talk about first what an anticipation guide is, so that you understand the purpose of what I'm having you do. So if you look at the description, anticipation guides are often structured as a series of statements which you can choose to agree or disagree. And this helps focus on your prior knowledge. Some of you may already know a lot of this information. Some of you may not know very much. So this gives me an idea of how much some of you already know, and then we can start the lesson from there. So what I want you to do is to read through the 15 statements that are on here, and it's kind of like a true or false, but it's more of your opinion. You're not going to get penalized for answers that you get incorrect because a lot of this you don't know yet. So you're going to read through the statements and then put a check if you agree or put a check mark if you disagree. So go ahead and take a few minutes by yourself, just individually first, to go through the statements and mark what you think. Okay, at this point, what I want you to do is take a look at your individual responses, and I want to give you just a minute to compare and contrast your answers with what your neighbor got. So we're going to have these two rows, like Max and Matt, compare and contrast the answers you got, and these two rows, just with your nearest neighbor. Look and see which ones, and you can kind of scoot your desks over a little bit if you want to. Look and see, compare and contrast with your neighbor, and compare your answers, and then you have a minute to change your answers if you feel like you want to change your response after talking it over with your neighbor. So go ahead and do that at this point.
As you saw, the teacher was giving students the very broad perspective of over this unit we will be addressing, and she even said this is going to take quite a bit of time to go through. Then she used what, again, some people call a hook, and that was she using a little video clip for students. Basic idea there is to get the neurons firing about the content. It was a different venue. It was a video. Just did a little hook, again, that's what it's commonly called. But then she went into the use of an anticipation guide, which is a formal way of previewing. And that activity was actually a very extended activity, where the use of the anticipation guide, she actually had students go into great detail about what they already knew about the content and what they might learn about the content. So previewing is a very broad category of strategies that can be used in very, very different ways in different contexts.